good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on what time zone you're in. The XRP Army News Show is very happy to introduce Barry Papa Bear XRP to everyone. And he is I think, my first interview with someone from Australia. So, Barry, would you like to say hello to everyone and introduce yourself?
Well, hello, XRP community and crypto world. Either one, whatever you choose to associate with. My name is Barry McAlpin, and known as Papa Bear XRP on Twitter. I live in Australia, especially on the Gold Coast, Queensland. It's a beautiful paradise country. I'm 10 minutes from some of the nicest beaches you'll ever experience in the world. And I'm a family man. I love God. I'm a patriot. I love America, but I love Australia too. So I'm actually a dual citizen. I'm actually American. I was born in Florida and mostly lived in Tennessee. And like I was sharing with you earlier, at the age of 9, my parents migrated to Sydney in 1973. So I grew up in Australia, in the Australian culture. From the age of 9 to 20, was married at 18.
Wow.
And I've been married to the same beautiful woman, Australian woman, Esther, for 37 years. And so sort of the meaning of Papa Bear is that's a nickname through the years. Different young people in my life have always call me Papa Bear, which bear, sort of berry, so Papa Bear. And of course, I'm a real fan of the XRP technology and token and all what Ripple's doing. So at first, I've had my Twitter account since 2010 and with under my name, Barry McAlpin, with my photo. But as I got into the crypto community and began to, really connect and begin to acquire followers, I wanted to separate who I was as an individual with my passion for crypto. So there's people that could find me on Twitter, and I don't really want people knowing my business and knowing what I'm getting into as far as what investments I'm making. Of course, when you carry a different name and a different face, which I put that cool little bear face up there, you can get away with things. And you don't want people, you're making some remark, which I don't make anything absurd remarks, but you got some level of privacy that you can maintain. So if the Twitter space, there's not too many people that actually go on there as their actual name, and everyone's got their handles, much like the CB the CB days back in the 70s, 80s, everyone had a handle.
Yeah, nine.
That's it. And now, in the Twitter, it's a Twitter world. It's sort of the same way. People got their own handles, and Sir Gordon. I know you had him on the other day. I mean, we all have fantasies of being different people, of course. But each to their own name. But anyway, that's sort of the story behind the name, Papa Bear XRP. And I have 2 sons that are 35 and 36. One's married to an Australian, one's married to an American young lady. When we moved back to Australia in 2009, the GFC hit, the big economical downturn, and we just felt the need to return to Australia. And I felt like it was God's providence. We are Christians and believers. We pray about things. We felt like we were led to come back. And we didn't know if our sons would follow us, and fortunately they did. About a year later, they both migrated back to Australia, and it was the best move we ever made as a family. They've both been able to have businesses here. The quality of life here is absolutely amazing. Healthcare system's incredible. What the government provides, the lifestyle's amazing. Here in Queensland, pretty much you're I used to live in Tennessee, and I would have extreme weather. You know, you'd either have very frigid, freezing weather that, you know, could be below zero and snowing on occasion, to very hot and humid in the summertime. Well, here, your temperature, the coldest it will ever get, and it's rare. You know, you may get down in the 50s Fahrenheit. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold. But most of the weather is very mild. Even spring and fall is like in either low 70s, upper 70s, and the hottest it'll get is most of the time your summer doesn't get over 90 Fahrenheit, and the humidity is very low compared to what I experience in Tennessee. I mean, it's stifling. I don't know if you've tried to been in Georgia and that deep humidity. It almost time feels like you can't breathe. But anyway, the weather here is amazing. The lifestyle is amazing. I've got 5 grandchildren all here in Australia, and I've got one on the way. So that'll be 6 little Aussies, and you know, I've got 4 grandsons and 1 granddaughter, and they all have blonde hair and blue eyes, except for one. The one son has blonde hair and brown eyes. So, you know, they all look like their papa. So they all call me Papa as well. That's my name. My wife, you know, we all have different names as grandparents. So my wife's known as Mimi, and I'm known as Papa, you know, Papa Bear. So, no, well, they don't call me Papa Bear. They just call me Papa, but other people call me Papa Bear. So anyway, that's my family. And, you know, we love Australia. You know, I've been watching, got a lot of friends and family still back in America, Tennessee, especially. You know, my eye has been glued, like us all, watching all the events that are unfolding. You know, the place to see it is on Twitter. I mean, you see things in real time, and, you know, sometimes you see things on Twitter you don't want to see anywhere else, and if there's stuff breaking, you're the first to see it. So I'm always watching what's happening there. I'm always watching the crypto world, and of course, you know, I've got a sizable investment in crypto because I believe, you know, it's definitely the future. And so anyway, you asked the questions. That's sort of a bit of a background. There's a few of my guitars. I'm a musician as well. You can see in the background a few guitars there.
So Barry, where in Tennessee were you from?
Okay. You've heard of Chattanooga, right? Chattanooga. Yeah. All right. 30 miles north, give or take, is a place called Cleveland, Tennessee. And that's I-75. You know how I-75 goes all the way from Florida all the way up through Kentucky. And so you go straight through Cleveland, you know, Knoxville. So it's about an hour south of Knoxville. It's 30 minutes north of Chattanooga. So it's in between. So,
well, I grew up in the mountains of North Carolina, Banner Elk. There's a place called Grandfather Mountain, which is a big tourist spot there. And we were 13 miles from Virginia and 13 miles from Tennessee. And when I was a kid, the nearest mall that we would go go do kind of shopping stuff was in Johnson City.
Yeah.
So I'm very well familiar, and all of my television stations were all the Tri-City stations.
Yeah, I know Tri-City very well. Yeah.
Bristol, Kingsport, Johnson City. And when I was a kid growing up watching, I would come home from elementary school and watch Batman on Channel 19, which was the UHF channel. And we're definitely dating ourselves now because there are people that are going to be watching, Barry, there are people going to be watching this and saying, what is UHF? Well, that was the obscure channels. You basically had 3 channels, ABC, NBC, and CBS, and then you had these fringe channels that you could only pick up on the rabbit ears with UHF, and they were generally more local stations. But that's where I got to watch Batman every day at 3 o'clock when I would come home from elementary school.
Batman. Wow.
Loved Batman growing up.
Yeah.
So Barry, that is fascinating so far, and it's one of the reasons that I'll give a little shout out for the desire of why I put this channel together and what my interest was and what my intention was, is what you just told me is probably the most interesting and fascinating thing that I've heard today. Finding out about other people in the community. I mean, instead of just a handle on and a comment on Twitter, if we can all get the chance to be able to know each other. And my big dream at the end of the day is not to have a YouTube channel with 100,000 subscribers. It's to have made connections with 100,000 new friends in our XRP community.
There you go.
Because I believe if we all get to know each other, that there is going to be a segment of that population who would like to get together and make an impact in the world in some way, shape, or form. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we get to know each other and then find the ones that have that desire to do good works in the world. And just imagine if we had 100 committed do-gooders that were well funded. I mean, we could make a serious impact. And in the last, I'm 58, in the last third of my life, what I'd like to be able to do is have a legacy that I was able to impact the lives of other people. And I believe that there are other like-minded people in our XRP community because let's face it, Barry, we're the dreamers. We're the early adapters. We're the crazy ones. Just crazy enough to think we might be able to change the world and make a solid impact. Well, I have that desire, but we're going to have to meet each other and find out who is of like mind. Then after the moon, stay in contact because, man, look what making a lot of money does to some other people when they don't have enough to do during the day, like Elvis and Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so enough about me. All right. So explain a little bit to us, enough about me, and I appreciate you letting me indulge a little bit in that.
No, that's fine. Let's just roll with it.
Okay. So now what I'd like to be able to do is put the focus back where it should be, back on you. So how did you, excuse me, how did you come across crypto in the beginning? How did that, let's unpack that.
Yeah, well, I had an opportunity to check out a few of your interviews, and it was fascinating because we had the ones that I did here, we all had a bit of a common thread, and that was that we all jumped on the 2017 bandwagon. It seems that crypto was really coming into the light then, and you had so much retail money flooding into the market cap. Of course, I think the market cap hit upwards to 800 billion at one time. And mid 2017, my sons, especially my oldest, Curtis, he had his pulse on the crypto world. He'd just been looking into it. And actually, some of the first coins he ever bought back then was XRP. And XRP back then was fractions of a penny. It was, I think it was less than a cent. I mean, you look at what VeChain's doing right now, and look at the gains that, they basically in 2 weeks, I've watched VeChain go from 500 to 600 million market cap. Now they're touching, they keep bumping 1.3 billion. They've climbed from 28, 29 position and the highest they've gotten is the 15th position, which is those. You got Monero, you've got VeChain, and you've got Tron. They're all shifting in and out of that 15th position because I think it's Stellar's the next one up, and to get to that position, it's going to have to be a substantial amount of money flowing into that coin. So, but to see what VeChain's done, and I've been following VeChain for a very long time as well as XRP, but basically. Get back to your original question. My son introduced me to the crypto world and said, Dad, you really need to check it out. And back then, to onboard into the crypto world, there was already some exchanges here in Australia that were available where you could purchase crypto. And the first crypto exchange I got onto was a crypto exchange called BTC Markets. They're one of the bigger exchanges in the world, but probably the biggest in Australia. And they, from what I hear, they act as an ODL for XRP. They've been really pumping some volume through there in recent days, not too much lately, because we all know that for some reason the XRP volume on different exchanges is dramatically dropped, and we're all speculating what all that's about. But nevertheless, I onboarded through BTC Markets, and then back then Binance was still is Binance was the top exchange, and so then we transferred. At first, I was on BTC Markets. I think some of the first crypto I bought into, because back then, in order to purchase other cryptos, you had to buy BTC first. So you went from fiat to BTC, and then from BTC you then could buy either XRP. I think on the exchange at that time they were only offering like 6 or 7 coins. They're offering more now, but the mains were Ethereum, Bitcoin, XRP. So I onboarded with BTC, and when I bought the BTC, I was totally green. I knew nothing about crypto, how it works. I mean, I was just fully ignorant. Okay, and I remember one particular. I just bought into BTC, and there was a huge flash crash that took place. BTC just went down like in minutes, just went down, as it does at times. It scares everyone when it happens. But what happened was, before I made that first purchase, I happened to be on BTC Markets watching the charts, and I just saw this just going down. And so I called up my son. I said, BTC's going down. Should I buy now? What do I do? He said, what's it doing? I said, it's just going down. He said, well, buy it when it goes down a little more. So I bought in when it sort of bottomed, and then it went right back up. And so my first BTC purchase, I made like $500, $600, $700 right off the bat. And I thought, whoa, how easy is this? This is amazing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like all of us, you're just like, whoa, I mean, that couldn't have been that easy. So not really knowing too much about crypto or how this works. I begin to pump more and more money into the crypto space. And initially I begin to transfer from crypto to my Binance crypto wallets, and then I begin to be trading on Binance. And so what's always sort of drawn me to certain coins is real case use, like utility. And back then, the Tron really had a lot of promise of utility, more than most, just sort of where they were going. And so I had a lot of investment in Tron, and I started buying XRP. I wasn't much into BTC. I traded in and out of it. Stellar, XLM, various coins. But as I started pumping more and more money in, of course, got in around mid-2017, and things sort of progressed and came to a plateau sort of towards the end of 2017. And in my mind, it was just going to keep going. I mean, there was no stopping, It's like, whoa, So I had some savings, and of course, when you're married, and your bank account's not your account. I mean, you have to run things by your spouse and partner. And I somehow convinced her to throw a substantial amount of money into the crypto world. And I was buying, on the exchanges in Australia. Of course, you got a substantial exchange rate difference, sometimes 20-30%. And
wow.
Right now the Australian dollar is barely 70 cents to the US dollar. And so I remember buying XRP at $2, $2.50, $3 Australian. It got up to $5 Australian, I think, at one time, Aussie. The XRP did. So buying, holding, trying to diversify, and then meanwhile during that whole time, just trying to educate myself. Knew nothing about doing TA, and even till today, I don't know a lot about TA. I try to follow people who know a lot more than I do, and of course, we all know what happened. We got the end of 2017. We got into, I think it was January 2018, and the bottom fell out. So basically, I lost. Not knowing about stop losses and knowing when to get out and knowing even the history of crypto. If you even know the history of crypto, where, what goes up usually comes down, what goes down usually comes up. Just very green, very ignorant, very stupid, and instead of selling and waiting to see what would happen, that crypto world, it's can do very subtle things on you. Instead of just crashing it, and they'll subtly bring it down to where they sort of hypnotize you into thinking, oh, it's just a little drop, but it's going to come back. Oh, but it dropped a little more, but it's going to come back. It dropped it. Oh, it's going to come, and it never come back. And needless to say, I probably lost 90% of my investment, which was quite substantial. I've yet to recover that money. I've just sort of just ridden it off. And so for all of 2018, of course, it was very humbling to your wife. You lose that money, and baby, it's not coming back. So I gave when it, we know what happened in 2018. It was fully stagnant. I said, nah, I'm not going to touch it again. I didn't even look at it anymore. I had some coins sitting on the Binance, excuse me, on the Binance exchange. And I said, I'm just going to leave it alone. If it comes back, it comes back. If it don't, it won't, And so all of 2018, I basically didn't even look at the crypto world. I was just quite disgusted with it. But come 2019, things started heating up again. And I really got stuck into studying, of course, back then, a lot of these cryptos that were being sold, I mean, let's just get real. I mean, they were a hope and a dream. I mean, they had a white paper stating, this is where we hope to go, and we're going to do this, and we're going to change the world. And we know good and well, most of these are gambling coins. You just speculation, buying highs, selling lows, playing the TA charts, and seeing who can beat who to, who's going to hold and who's going to fold, And some guys got very wealthy at that.
Yep.
And did very well. I didn't, and I still haven't. I've yet to recover. I've yet to get in a positive position yet. But needless to say, I dug into, Ripple was a hope and a dream at one time. They said, this is where we're going. This is what we're going to do, and it was known as the banker's coin,
Right. Yep.
Stay away from Ripple because they're in bed with those banksters, and, we're all for the freedom currency. Yes. We're not in bed with the bankster.
For everyone.
That's right. And, that's one thing to say that, but then, I began to look, the fundamentals, as they say, it just made sense that, Ripple was pretty smart in saying, okay, we're not going to try to replace fiat. We're going to work with fiat currencies, and we're going to try to solve real world issues that we have. And if you can do that and eventually have some type of mass adoption, which we're all waiting and hoping. We all know that pipes have been being laid for the last 5-6 years. And, the more I studied it, the more I looked into it, the news that was coming out, you could just see the writing on the wall. You just know that blockchain, DLT technology, crypto, when you look at, if you got half a brain, you're going to figure out, things don't fit. The world's going to change big time. It's already changing. And of course, all what's happening now, there's more and more, the governments of the world. Of course, you look at Christine Lagarde and all these, the Bank of England. We know behind the scenes, Ripple has been working with the governments. We know that Trump, signing executive orders, got Ripple right in there back when he first, the writing's on the wall. There's no way. It's a waiting game. So what happened is, being fully confident in the fundamentals, not in making money or I'm going to be rich one day, and all these dreams that 589's coming, and it's created to be $10,000 a coin. I know all that. I've studied everything about XRP. I'm up on it every day. I know what's going on and what's been happening. It's what bottom line is what keeps me hoping and believing is that the fundamentals are there. There's a shift, a worldwide shift that's coming. There's an economic collapse that's probably closer than what we know. Could happen by the end of this year. There's going to be, there has to be some way of canceling out this massive debt in the world. And it only makes sense that this has probably been a plan for over a decade, who knows, maybe 2 decades, that they knew that this was going to come, and there was going to be some type of world, a new type of financial system and currency. It's here, it's now. We're not looking at a hope and a dream. It is so close. Mass adoption. You look at PayPal that's come out and said they're going to be selling cryptocurrency. Every day there's news coming out. We know it's not just XRP that's going to win here and have a place in the world of finance and crypto. But there's so many coins that have developed technology that's going to be adapted, and it will change the world as we know it. So we know we're early in the game. It can be quite frustrating in that time of waiting, especially when you look how we know XRP is being manipulated. There's no doubt in my mind. I've watched these exchanges, and we know there's bots controlling these prices. They're instantaneously, I've watched them and studied it. Instantaneously, these bots are buying and selling against themselves. They're not in it to make profit. They're in it to regulate pricing. So when these bots want to move in the plan, whatever, like this recent uptick, you think to yourself, well, how did that happen? How did all of a sudden we went from 17.5 cents just lying stagnant for weeks, and then all of a sudden we make a jump up, bumping 20 cents? How does that happen? Do you think just a bunch of new money came in? I have a hard time believing that. I think this thing is really manipulated. And I think, we all have our speculations of why they're suppressing the price, but we know that eventually, once everything's in place, there has to be an uptick in a ride. Why would it be created to be $10,000? Is if they've made comments like, you've heard even Ripple say that, we want to be able to facilitate the world's economy on the back of the XRP ledger. How are they going to do that at 20 cents? They can't do it. We know good and well that the order books on the exchanges could be bought up in a day if there was enough demand for it. It would just be bought up, and it would just go through the roof.
It would have to, because all of the money, Barry, is a lot of money. So to be able to facilitate the movement, as a cross-border remittance tool, the amounts are staggering. I think it's like between $5 and $7 trillion of purchases a day that SWIFT transacts across the globe. Yeah. So that to be able to replace that and have XRP in the mix would the price would have to go up to supply that much
substantial.
Yep, I agree.
And so we know that Ripple's in game is not just to facilitate cross-border remittances. Okay, they've made it very clear that they want to tap into that micropayments are the way of the future. That's where this whole recent Pay ID just happened to be. It's been in the works for a while.
Yeah. Hello.
Helped write the white paper on that one. They've bought up domain names in Europe with the XRP and Pay ID, and there's new technologies now that you do the deep dives with some of these YouTubers that really got a pulse on it. They're coming up with with eventually when you make a payment, it'll be person to person. It'll just be done through the cell towers. I mean, or just through the air. You won't even have to be connected to the internet to make a transaction. This is the technology they're working on. Why are they doing that? Because they're anticipating mass adoption and a huge financial paradigm shift that's much closer than we know. And so, you hear the talk about, the beautiful thing about the XRP, the technology and all what they're doing is, they've come up with this, the ledger just doesn't facilitate XRP. I mean, the potential of tokenizing real estate and assets and property and then you've got the quadrillions of derivatives market, and every type of fiat, every type of, we all know that Ethereum and Bitcoin, they've sent money because it's quicker to do it on the XRP ledger. I mean, what they've created is phenomenal. And, it's not your normal crypto coin. I mean, they haven't just created a coin that can be exchanged on a public exchange. They've created technology that is transforming the world as we know it when it comes to finances and how value is stored. Because eventually they're going to be tokenizing everything. They're going to be tokenizing every part on a vehicle will be tokenized for identity and for authentic, for it to be authentic and to eliminate counterfeit reproduction of things. This is where VeChain, where they do product tracing, is revolutionary. They're at the head of their game there. I mean, I think XRP could develop the same technology and compete with VeChain along those lines. But right now, VeChain's leading it. And, the early bird gets the worm. The first to get there, usually wins. But these technologies in Australia, okay, all the major banks have for a fact adopted the XRP ODL technology. It's a fact. Okay. It's been here for it's been tested. It's been here probably the last 4 or 5 years already, and the whole Pay ID thing, you literally can send money instantly here. Okay. I haven't carried cash in years. All I do is use my phone to pay, swipe and pay. You just doop, or on my Apple Pay. Okay. So this technology's been here. What makes it, we've been digital for years. So what's the difference between, already being digital and what's coming out now is the whole blockchain, where you have transparency, you have the ability to have a trustless transactions, where we all know the Nostro Vostro, where in order to send remittance, there's billions of dollars sitting in accounts in order for that to take place. It's going to do away with all of that. I mean, yeah. So the technology of XRP is no doubt my number one pick. And what happened was, okay, let me get back to my story, because you get me going. I can talk a little bit here, as you can see.
This is exactly why I wanted to talk. And while I've got a second, don't forget to share your feelings about Codius and about PolySign. If you feel like that they're all kind of part of the mix, where Pay ID is all coming together. And I mean, there are a lot of pieces that these guys have put, a lot of things that they seem to me like have been putting into motion. So
that's right.
Please continue.
I will. And so, getting back to 2019, we begin to see a bit of an uptick of the market cap. Got quite low. It was down to almost 100 billion, I think, early 2019, and it started to have an uptick. And I thought, it's bottomed out. And after I did my due diligence of studying and getting my head around the crypto space and where it was going, I decided it was time to reinvest a good substantial amount of money again. And in showing my wife the fundamentals of XRP, saying, honey, this isn't just a crypto coin. This is a company that's going to implement technology that will be mass adopted. This is like investing in a real company. We all know that the rumors of and the likelihood of an IPO coming for Ripple, but we can't. Common guys like me and you, we haven't had the opportunity to buy shares into Ripple, the company. We know that just recently here that they were valued at $10 billion. The only way we've been able to buy into the future of a company right now is through these tokens. And so after showing my wife, the fundamentals, and she's like, oh, well, this is more than just a fairy tale dream. This is a real company going to provide real use, case use, real utility. I said, honey, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I've never gotten into trading stocks, but I'm 56. I'm going to be 56 years old. I'd love to, I understand, you get into something early enough, you hold, it can make you very wealthy. And so the potential there, I know is there. How far it will go. I told my wife, I've told others, I said, I'm a 2 to 5 year holding. If in 2 to 5 years, this hasn't, I know I'm not going to lose all my money again. I know it's going to come back to a certain point. I could cash out and get everything back I've put in. And I'm not in it for that. I'm in it with the hope that it will go to, 10, 20, 100. If it went to $100, buddy, let me tell you right now, we'd all be having a party on some island with some sort of XRP.
We are going, if that happens, we are going to do that.
I mean, even at $10 now.
Me too.
$10. I mean, I could buy a house with it, with what I've got right now.
Me too. Okay?
So we know it's coming. I mean, you look at some of these other coins and what they're doing, and they don't have nowhere near the potential, or even proven that they have the capability of what Ripple's doing right now. And you say, 20 cents right now is ridiculous of how much this is. So anyway, I started buying back in, 1,000 here, 1,000 there, 1,000 there, 1,000 there, another 1,000, another 1,000. I bought it up when it was running around 50 to 60. It peaked at 70 cents Australian. And I threw a substantial amount of money in, and then it came down again. And oh my goodness, here we go again. I thought it was going to keep going, and it got me again. I mean, that little, but I never have lost faith. I've made some buys on the way down. And I've able to get my cross averages down substantially, down into the upper 30 cents Australian, which would only be, 28, 29 cents American. So basically my break even, what I've recently put in, I can break even at 28 cents. And then from then on, so I bought in still when it was higher and it went down. But man, we know we've just bottomed out at 17.5 cents. It even went lower than that. When this whole COVID thing hit, of course, everything took a real tumble because we were on our way up again. And then the COVID thing hit and just took the wind out of it. So, I'm quite invested in it. And let me tell you something. What I've found is though my number one pick is XRP, I've learned to trade and not be stupid. If you just hold XRP in all the swings and you say, oh, I'm not selling, I'm just XRP, you know what? Eventually it's going to come back. You get your money back and you may make the profits. And if it really goes, then, and you're a long-term holder, say in 3, 4, 5 years, and it's 10, 20, you're going to win. Okay. But my strategy has been accumulation. So I'm going to give some tips here for the people who may be watching.
Please do.
That you can gain more XRP without putting another dime in if you do a couple smart things. Okay. We all know that on some exchanges, it can be quite expensive to trade crypto. Okay. Like on the BTC markets here in Australia, I think to trade is like a 0.09%. So for every $1,000 I'm trading into crypto, it costs me $9. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you an exchange that I've got half my XRP sits off ledger. I don't trade it because we all know that if this thing takes off like a wild beast, it could be while I'm sleeping. I can't afford to have all my XRP any other place but sitting there in case this thing substantially rises. And it don't take much for the value of it adds up quick. Okay. When XRP goes, it adds up. So I don't trade. I take a portion of my XRP and I leave over maybe 65% off off the grid. It's there. I'm not touching it. The other I use to gain more XRP by trading in and out of moving coins. Okay. So I've had 3, 4, 5 coins that I watch and you can see substantial movement. And what you've got to do is get those coins you're comfortable with. And what I've found is that there's an exchange out of Singapore called Bitrue. Do you know Bitrue?
I do.
And you literally, hang on a minute. I think I lost you. You literally can trade for nothing. It doesn't cost you pennies to make a trade. For $1,000 worth of trading that would cost me $9 on BTC markets, I could trade that same $1,000 and it may not even cost me $1, 50 cents, if that. So I can trade all day long. I can punch that button as much as I want, and the trading fees are not going to be an issue because it's very low. So as long as you own BTR, which is their native coin, you get 40% off the trading fees. And even at that, it's nothing. Okay. So that's a no-brainer. I can't do that on BTC market. It cost me too much money. And I did it for a long time. I mean, it goes quick. So what I do is I've picked certain coins that I can take. And what the beautiful thing about Bitrue is their exchange offers probably more XRP pairs to other coins than most of any other exchange I know. Even Binance doesn't even offer this. Okay. So what that means is instead of trading in and out of fiat or in the olden days, trading in and out of BTC, when you buy into a coin, you're buying it with XRP. And when you sell that coin, it just puts it right back into XRP. So you sell that, it just automatically is converted back to XRP. So when I trade, I don't trade on USDT or BTC pricing. I trade on where XRP is. Now, we can be really, really upset with XRP because it's been one of the worst performing coins in 2019, and then some of these other coins have just took off like, look what VeChain's done, look what Link's just done, look what XLM did, ADA. We know we're getting close to a bit of a bull run for the altcoin. The BTC dominance has dropped substantially. We're on the verge of something, okay? And usually XRP is the last one to run, and it's there. So, but the good thing is when you're trading these other coins, and I'm trading with XRP. If XRP stays still, I win. Because if I'm in another coin that's growing in market cap value, then I can automatically say, okay, say I bought 1,000 XRP worth of VET, okay, and that made been 50,000 VET. I don't even look at what I'm buying. I don't even think in other coins. I'm thinking, how can I get more XRP? Because I know the day's going to come that when it goes off, everything's going to be in XRP. Because if XRP is moving, and I know it's going to move, I ain't going to have it in any other coin because we know what it's going to do. So what I do to accumulate XRP is I buy these I've had 3 or 4 coins that I know are moving up, and I watch for resistance and I watch for support. And so if you see these substantial swings, you could see it, okay? And some of them just go straight up. I mean, I missed the boat on that a few weeks back. I mean, I would have been up another 2,000 or 3,000 XRP if I had just stayed in that. But I tried to sell at one of these peaks. I got out of it, cashed back out into XRP, and then it just took off. Okay, that can happen. But literally in the last 2 months, I have been accumulating XRP by trading in out of other coins, but primarily VET. I'm still holding VET, 35% of my portfolio. And I've been able to accumulate upwards to 8,000 XRP just by trading in and out of these other coins without spending one more penny.
Wow.
Right? And I haven't used TA. Now, you can lose, but you just watch. You see, okay, it usually bottoms out here. It usually tops out here. You get in, you look at that chart, and you see where it's gone. Okay, this is where the last 12 days, it doesn't go usually any further than this. And then it usually goes up to this point, and then it retraces back. You just buy that bottom. You wait however many days, it could be even hours, and it'll do it. And it'll hit that point, and then you don't get greedy. If you get greedy, you could lose. You just say, okay, I bought in at 1,000 XRP, but if I cash it out now at this peak, I just gained another 150 XRP, or I just gained. I mean, there was one day I took a gamble and I put quite a bit of my XRP in VET. This was months ago. I think I woke up to a 4,000 XRP gain overnight.
Wow.
4,000. Okay.
Wow.
And you just, okay, there's going to be a retrace. You just cash it back out through BitTrue. The moment you sell it, you're back in XRP. You wait for the retrace. It comes down. Sometimes it comes down a lot. Sometimes it don't come down much. Sometimes it can just go straight, keep going. But you haven't lost because, if your goal is to accumulate XRP, even though that coin's still moving, you're just using that as a vehicle to gain more of what you really are passionate and what you believe one day is going to hold the most value. So that's been my strategy, and it's worked. I did gain quite a bit of XRP, and then when the COVID thing hit and everything took a nosedive, I was holding certain coins, and I should have just cashed them back out into XRP, and I lost quite a bit of gains that I got. But I've been adamant in the last 2 months of that's been my strategy. I'm not a big TA guy. I just watch these coins, and sometimes it's luck. Sometimes, you play it out. But needless to say, an 8 to, I've got a sell order in right now with that it is peaked. It is peaked on that at around 2 cents or a little above, and then it retraces. It's done that about 4 times. Okay. Now that I think is going to go way higher, but we're in the accumulation and retracing space right now. And I've got a sell order right now that if I sell that order from where I bought in, it would have made me 3,000 XRP.
Wow.
3,000. Okay. I'm waiting. I've come really close even today and yesterday where it triggered that order. But another thing I found on BitTrue, this is another secret if people want to hear about it. You've got these weird spiking anomalies that will happen on these exchanges. And I've noticed it with certain coins, and I've noticed it especially on BitTrue. So what happens is it can be just coasting along, and then you get a spike that will just go down substantially, and it just goes straight back up. If you see that one or two times, and you what you want to tell yourself, okay, I've got X amount of XRP sitting here, and I'm going to put in a buy order at the point where I've seen these other two spikes come down to. And if it happens again, I'm going to catch it. And so you set it down there in hopes that it will do another one of these spikes, because it usually just goes down and then straight back up. And I've caught a few of those where it's spiked down and just went straight back. And I'm talking instant 500, 600 XRP in seconds is in your pocket.
Wow.
So what you want to do is that even if you don't think you want to trade, set a buy order. If you've got your XRP sitting there, set a buy order, especially if you've seen the history of that coin where you've had these spikes. Set a buy order at a ridiculous part. You may wake up and be surprised that it triggered your buy order, and now you're in the good X amount of XRP. So remember, I'm always thinking XRP. I'm not thinking fiat. I'm not thinking BTC. I want more XRP. Okay. And so now I believe in that. I believe that, it could be a $1 coin. I mean, it could be a $2 coin. If it did, the amount of VET I got right now, if I just held it, I could buy half a house with it, no problems. But I do know that if I had not adapted that strategy of buying in and out and of trying to accumulate, I would still be holding all XRP, and I would be down 8,000 XRP to where I'm at now.
Wow.
And that's without me putting another penny in. And forget about the fees. The fees with the gains you get it's chump change. It's nothing. It's irrelevant. So you can literally do this all day long. So I don't know if that's going to be helpful for people out there.
Hopefully it will be. Now, let me ask you this, though. When you do that, are you creating yourself a tax situation on those gains within the exchange, or is it only when you would choose to take that out of the exchange?
Well, this is the big question, isn't it? That we don't have 100% clarity on this yet. Now, there are crypto laws that are in place here. Of course, they want you to report any gains. But the reality is until I cash that money out, I know exactly how much I've put in. Until I cash out and it's over the amount I've put in my mind's eye, I could be wrong. It doesn't matter how much I trade. The only thing that's going to count at the end of the day is when I'm wanting to cash out, then I'm going to have to pay tax above and beyond what I've actually put in. Because the reality is you cannot keep track of all these trades that you do. I've literally done hundreds of trades over the last couple of years. And for you to do that, you can't even get your head around it. But the reality is it's not a gain, because today's gain could be tomorrow's loss. So how do you calculate gain and loss? The only way you can calculate that is when you cash out, okay? Now they can see what you put in there, and they can say, okay, you put $20,000 through your bank account. If they've got some way of tracking it, or I've got a count of what I've put in, and I'm going to cash out $30,000. Well, I'm going to pay taxes on. I'm going to have to declare that that's a $10,000 gain. But until I do that, until I actually realize an actual gain, which I haven't, I'm still way. I haven't even recovered the losses from the 90% gain I lost in 2017. So I have to take all that into consideration. So when I go to cash out, I have to consider that as either as a loss. And until I reach that total accumulative of what I put in, then I don't have to declare taxes on that, because there's no gains. So I could be wrong, but that's the way I look at it,
Well, the one of the great things about being in our XRP community is we have some of the influencers that will bring us, information and people that have that kind of expertise. And Brad Kimes has had the crypto tax guy, I think, I'm not sure, crypto tax. It's Clinton Donnelly on Twitter, and he's been on Brad's show a couple of times. So
Yeah.
that would be a really valuable resource for people because I'm not really sure about that either. I
Yeah.
have not cashed anything out that
No.
I have ever put in. And the only, I've got a BitTrue account, but I haven't done anything with it. But I've been solely a Coinbase as my exchange.
Yeah.
But I've never put anything in to, I mean, taken anything out.
Yeah.
So, to my understanding, I don't have any tax issues at all right
Yeah.
now because all I've done, Barry, is
Yeah.
put in,
That's right.
excuse me, is put in.
Yeah, that's right. And according to Australian, Australian law may be different, but I know if you hold a certain asset longer than a year, even the taxable, what you have to pay taxes drops substantially. So the longer you actually hold it, the less tax you will pay when you eventually have to cash out. Now, here's something interesting. Of course, we all watch the YouTubes and all the buzz, and I was watching digital asset investor, and he had different clips on there of some of these people that are in the know, and they're talking that eventually XRP could be declared a currency, and it would then therefore be non-taxable. I mean, we have yet to see where this thing's going. I mean, the reality is that, okay, you've got all these exchanges, Binance coming out with their own Visa cards, and you can put all your crypto connected to that Visa card, go out here and spend it like you would fiat. Okay, so then what is to stop you from getting a Visa card and going out here and spending, swipe the card and you're spending XRP and you never take it out through the exchange? It doesn't even go out. It's all in crypto. So how are you going to tax something you can't track and you're spending through the Visa? You can't do it. Say I've got 20,000 XRP there and it's on the ledger, but it's connected to my Visa card. How are you going to know what's what? He's going to figure that out. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You don't even have to cash it out. It's like cash. You just go and swipe your card like you normally do, and boom, whatever the value of that XRP at that time is, you're going to purchase your product.
Well, Barry, you being in Australia when you were talking about it sounds about regulations, it sounded to me like that there's kind of a different mentality from your standpoint on the government's view of regulations than in the United States. Did I pick that up accurately, that they're a little bit more regulatory friendly for crypto in Australia? I'm going to go to the refrigerator and grab a Coke. I'll be right back, but you can go ahead and start answering that. I can still hear you.
Okay, no worries. Look, there are some regulations that are in place in Australia, and primarily from what I understand is that they expect you to report any gains or profits upon cashing out your investment. If you hold it any more than a year, I think your tax rate is only like 15% on your gains versus, yeah. So I know that the Australian government is on the cutting edge and on the anticipation of blockchain technology being utilized in mass adoption. 100% Australia is on the forefront of that. They've even come out and officially endorsed, not only are they using XRP behind the scenes, but VeChain is been in the news a lot here in Australia to be utilized as a product tracing technology and coin by the Australian government. So that's why I follow XRP and VeChain, because it's already being used here. Just recently, it came out where there was a shoe manufacturer that manufactures shoes for Nike on the VeChain to protect the authenticity and remove any counterfeit, connect it to a VeChain token. So Australia is anticipating in the next 2 to 5 years that most companies are going to adapt DLT or some type of blockchain technology. And you say, well, how do you know that? Well, not only do I read the news, but I just recently took a class on at a local school to get a certification in the healthcare industry. You know, my original occupation is a painter and decorator. I've been in the painting business, residential, commercial, too long. I'm getting at the age now that I've had to upskill and look to get in another industry that's going to be more friendly, more kinder to my body. Because I mean, it's very laborious work, and I took a class on, and I'm in the process of getting a certification in the healthcare industry. My wife did the same, but the guy who ran that school came in and talked to the students, and he said to the students, "Look, we're going to be offering a new course in our school, and has anybody in here heard of the blockchain?"
I bet you liked hearing that.
And nobody raised their hand except my wife. Okay, this is how you know we're so early in this.
Yeah.
She said, "Yeah, I know all about it. My husband, he's almost an expert on this. I mean, because I'm always telling her stuff. She's really, really, so I'm always filling her head full of this stuff and the latest news. And, we have hopes and dreams, that we could retire off these investments because, who doesn't, And, we all know what Google and Apple did and what these, people have gotten rich off of penny stocks. It can happen again. What can happen for us? This is the next paradigm shift in the world as we know it today. I mean, it's here. It's now. So anyway, he says, "Anyone heard of blockchain?" She's the only one. Okay. So she said, "Oh, honey, you wouldn't believe what happened when I was at the school." I said, "What was it?" So I had them call me and tell me what this was about. And you know what it was? It was a blockchain advanced course in blockchain to be a blockchain advisor. I talked to the guy who created the course for the Australian government, and what they're anticipating is that in the next 2 years, there will be mass adoption, that companies will be putting all their products on the blockchain technology. And he told me instead of bringing in people from other countries to fill these roles, they are now trying to recruit and train up people and get qualified to go on with some of these pre-existing companies and help them onboard onto the DLT blockchain technology. So you actually come in as an advisor of how you would, connect their products to a token and get them on the blockchain. So they're anticipating that this is the future. And then there's this big push. It's quite an expensive class to get this diploma. It's like 15 grand to get this diploma. And but your title is you're a blockchain advisor or expert or whatever. It's not that you got to know how to all the ins and outs. You just got to be able to advise them in how to transition their company, their products, whatever they're offering onto blockchain technology. So Australia is there, man, and they know what's coming. They're already utilizing. I mean, the two coins that are tokens and technologies that are on the forefront here is 100% XRP and VeChain, 100%.
And Barry, how long is that class for the certification?
I think you can get through it in about was it a year? I think a year you can get through it. You can do online. You could do it through online. Year and a half, I think. Maybe I think it was just a year. But yeah, it's quite. I considered it because I got on the phone with these people that were, I had to get someone else to call me because the guy who initially called me knew I was interested. He didn't even know anything about blockchain. I was hitting him with all this stuff, and he didn't know so finally they had the guy who actually was one of the few instructors of Australia called me, and I hit him up with all these questions. We were right on the same bandwidth. We were talking each other's language. And I said, well, what does this mean? What are you going to walk away with? I mean, what's the potential of actually having a job paying you money to be a blockchain advisor? He said, well, it's all cutting edge. It's all new. And, by the time you get through the course in a year or 2 years, we're anticipating there's going to be a huge demand for people to come on board these companies and implement blockchain technology. So isn't that interesting?
Yeah. I think that's absolutely fascinating. One of the things, I run a digital marketing company, and we mainly do our prospecting basically by partnering up and helping out chambers of commerce. And the reason that we made that choice was that gives us access to the members of the chamber, right? So if you're a business and you want to go out and prospect, well, it's a lot easier to make friends with the Chamber of Commerce because they've got all the clients that you want to talk to already, all members, bundled together. And I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what can I do blockchain and cryptocurrency wise to do something to help prepare all of these businesses that I've got access to, and of course be able to monetize that, of course, in some way. But being a blockchain advisor sounds like a good thing, because I know that these local business people are going to have to get, savvy to what this paradigm shift means. So
exactly.
I'm going to have to look up blockchain advisor in the United States and see if I can find anything there about it.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the exact title, but it's a diploma of blockchain technology. And I said, well, what actually does that mean? He said, well, you basically would come in as a consultant or an advisor in onboarding companies into blockchain technology with the companies. So they were anticipating in about 2 years, there's going to be a huge demand for people to be able to help companies on board. And it's already happening. The wine industry here is using VeChain. Okay. They've been doing it for a while. Meat industry. I just saw recently there was a huge hotel chain that implemented the VeChain technology, blockchain technology, and they had over 5,000 hotels worldwide, and they're implementing. See, what they're going to do, what I read is that with this whole COVID thing, people being afraid to even check into hotels and afraid they're going to be contaminated, they're going to tokenize and put on the blockchain where if a person checks into a room, they can scan the barcode or whatever and see the last time it was cleaned or sterilized, or if this is safe, or what is that? And they're going to attach to the blockchain different things in the room so they can know exactly what's happened in real time and know and feel safe about being there. I mean, think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. The internet of everything. It's staggering to really kind of be able to try to wrap our heads around all of that. Well, so Barry, where about 8 months ago, Brad Garlinghouse said that we were in a marathon, not a sprint, and he felt like that we were somewhere along, mile 3. Do you feel like that the beer cold has helped to move that timeline forward? And do you sense that we're getting closer to what we all want to see, which is more regulatory clarity in the world as a whole, which will lead us to more of a mass adoption? Do you feel like that the world events and everything that's been going on has gotten us closer to that moment?
Absolutely. I think the events that have unfolded in the mayhem and the chaos that's been unleashed upon the world is a master plan that has been set into motion in order to transition from one paradigm to the next. I have no doubts. This is going to be used. You know, I think it was Rahm Emanuel that said, you never let a good crisis go to waste. I think that's what it's meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
That's who said it. Yes, you're correct.
and the crisis is definitely here, and it's of my opinion that it's just the beginning. In fact, look, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I'm a man of faith, been in ministry. You talked earlier about hopes and dreams of making the world better. I've been traveling to India for the last 17, 18 years, and supporting the poorer class people there and doing ministry and reaching out to widows and orphans. It's something, it's been a passion of mine and something I've done for 18 years. I've got a lot of relationship there. I've traveled all over India and got some very beautiful friendships. It's my hope that, I could become very wealthy to not just benefit myself and my family, but to facilitate dreams and hopes of serving others and seeing others people's lives improve and be better. That's a dream. That's a hope and a dream. But getting back to your question, yes, I believe being a God-fearing man and following not only trends and things that can be quite obvious, but there are spiritual dynamics I believe that are at play going on in the world, and especially in America, that are playing out right now. I mean, there's no doubt that you can't look at what's going on in the absolute brutal, the fighting, the looting, the violence at its core is evil. It is devilish. It is demonic. I mean, it seems like the hordes of hell have been released. I mean, people are losing their minds. There are dynamics going here that are not just political, but are spiritual. You can take that at whatever you want, whichever way you want. And I recently just came upon YouTube. You can check it out later. I don't know if you're a God-fearing man, if you love the Lord, or you call yourself a Christian. I mean, that you choose whatever you want. But a pastor by the name of Dana Coverstone, you look in the Bible, God speaks in various ways and can speak through prophets. It can speak through dreams and visions. And, I believe that. I've experienced that. My wife has. And I'm not trying to get on here and be religious and beat anyone over the head. I'm just telling you. But this man has come out and it's been quite controversial and has had a series of 3 dreams, one that he had in December that was quite vivid and descriptive, that perfectly happened to the T in March. We know March, COVID broke out. We know in June, March, April, June, the riots, with the whole, what was the guy, George Floyd, whatever his name was, that was his name, George? Yeah,
Yes.
whole neck thing. Okay, and some people believe that was a whole setup and only to trigger this. What's happening now? Who knows the truth? Because there are false flags and things that happen behind the scenes in order to create an effect and bring things in. Anyway, conspiracy theories, call it what you want. But this Dana Coverstone, I thought was fascinating. His first dream came true 100%. And to verify it, he shared it with, he's a pastor. He shared it with other men in the church. And he saw the looting, the fires, the mass, I mean, the details. And then here recently, two weeks ago, that was in December, he had another 2 dreams that he said basically in September and November, we're going to see some massive things happen. Now, and from what he's saying, the monetary system's going to go the wealth is going to go. The banks are going to collapse. The country's not going to be in a good place. So I believe, America. I've got a lot of friends and I've got family. And my parents are there in Tennessee. In Australia, in some ways I feel a bit sheltered from what's happening there because a lot of ways the governments here wouldn't let that sort of stuff go on. I mean, I'm surprised that the restraint that these police officers have had to endure and the abuse that under normal circumstances they would just cuff them up and lock them up for what they're doing, and they're not being allowed to do that. Why? Who's strapping their arms? I mean, it's a dangerous thing to be a police officer these days.
Yeah.
But needless to say is there is going to be a paradigm shift. I believe there will be economic collapses, and out of this chaos and dismantling, and there's going to be a lot of businesses, even in Australia and around the world, that are not going to recover from this.
Yep.
And that COVID's not over. Even if COVID was to go away, there's going to be another type of COVID that will come along that'll be 10 times worse. Okay. So the only thing you can do to brace yourself, and that was some of the wording this pastor used, that God told him, you need to brace yourself. You need to prepare, put food away, be prepared to protect yourself. Because if you got people banging on your door, and we've already seen it on the internet, the horrific pictures and videos that are coming, we never believed we would see this. Having to stand there with guns and protect your home from being burnt down, and then you being arrested, threatened to be arrested. I mean, the stuff we're seeing, needless to say, I think it's just we need to be prepared. And I think, the paradigm shift, the fiat as we know it is gonna go away. We know the world's going to implement their own digital currencies. We know that it has to move in and out of those currencies through some type of mechanism, which we know the XRP ledger has been created to do. Though XRP may not be, they're saying it'll be called either a digital asset or maybe even considered a currency. We know some sort of technology is going to have to facilitate that. And, in this dream this pastor had, and it's already happening, you can't get certain change in America. Everywhere you can't get nickels, dimes, and quarters. In this dream, he came up on the banks and said, look, I need X amount of coins. He said, no, he said the Federal Reserve is no longer minting them. And soon the $1 and $5 bills will not be available either. So the accuracy of this dream that he had in December has fully come to pass. He's a very humble man. He said, if it don't come to pass, come back and tell me in December. I'll admit I was wrong. I hope it's not right, but I believe it is. The financial system as we know it and the dollar and fiat currency is going to be gone by the end of the year. Okay? So why do you think there's this big push with Asia and now even England talking about their own cryptocurrencies, national, what do they call it? CBD, whatever.
CBDC.
CBDCs. This has been a plan in motion for years. What better way? Listen, we all know that the stock market has been so inflated to ridiculous highs. It's fully fake, okay? And we have had a recovery, but it ain't going to take much. That's all going to come crashing down. And where's the wealth going to go? If America is no longer the reserve currency of the world, which they've been privileged to have for decades, we all know that story. I'm sure you would know all about that. And that ceased to be, dude, there's going to be massive change. So
yeah. Where is all of that wealth going to go? Gold, silver, and crypto.
Talking about also a new gold-backed currency, then pegged to the XRP. We can. People. This is where we get a lot of flack from other crypto communities. Like, oh, you're in dreamland. Don't you know that the only way XRP could be $1,000 or $100. You know, it'd have to have trillions of dollars and la-di-da-di-da. I mean, look, there's so many variables that can happen to make that happen in a flick of a button. We know it. I mean, everything that we know that's the norm of money will go out the door. You know, we know about the SDRs and how you've got these basket of currencies and that it's been used by the IMF through the years. We know they have backup plans. And look how close Ripple has been with all these world leaders and financial institutions. I mean, you'd have to be stupid. Look at the Tony Vays and the Pomps that, you know, they're all Bitcoin maximalists. You know, anybody with half a brain's gonna you can figure this out. There's enough information that's going to tell you what's coming. So anyway, I say all that to say this. I'm convinced that if we just hold, we just be patient, that, you know, we're all going to be rewarded. You know, the question is how, you know, at what price are you going to sell? You know,
Right.
the question is, you know, I've thought of this. It's going to be more difficult to be able to hold when it goes through the roof than it is right now waiting at a very low price. And, you know, the real test is not now. The test of what you're going to do is when it hits $5. Are you going to sell? If it hits $10, are you going to sell? You know, you're not going to know. There's going to be people out there going to be jumping ship. I mean, there's people that have been holding the coins since it was at its all-time high, $3.50. They may sell then. But, you know, if the floodgates open to where, you know, the derivatives market is then being utilized through the blockchain technology, the finances of the world, if it's pegged to gold, you know, it automatically goes to $2,000, whatever, you know, that can happen. And it doesn't need what we've come to understand. The market cap does not have to be X amount of dollars to equal max X amount of XRP value. I think all those paradigms are going to be thrown out the door. You know, we're going to be shocked by what happens. You know, it'll just be mind-boggling. So that's my opinion.
So Barry, as I think what I would like to do is let you know that what I do with every new friend that I've made going through this interview process is go ahead and extend an invitation for you to come back so we can continue this conversation.
Sure.
Because I have been absolutely enthralled by listening to everything that you have to share. And
wow.
I can tell that you have really put a lot of time and energy into understanding how all of this is evolving.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would ask you from how interested are you in being able to see other people in the community so you can get a little bit of a feel for the other people in the community as opposed to just watching news story videos?
Okay, can you restate that question? I'm not quite understand what you're asking. Sorry.
Okay, my intention is to be able to give every person in our community, of course, who wants to do it, the opportunity and the place for them to be able to share. And
Okay.
so, how would you like to hear? Would you like to have me be able to get an interview with DAI?
Of course.
Would you like to have me be able to have an interview with Kevin Cage and the Bearable Bull and all of these YouTubers and all of the other people that I kind of like to look at as the rank and file in the Army? Because we get to hear the generals on their videos every day. But how about just the person out there? You know, I interviewed a guy this morning and he said, you know, I just can't believe that anybody would really want to listen to anything that I had to say. Yeah. And that's really the intention. And I just wanted to see if you kind of felt like that you would like to see what I'm doing continue and say something to the people that I've been asking that have been sort of hesitant. And then
Yeah.
second part of that question, I've really been trying to find more of the women in our XRP community to
Yeah.
stand up and share how they feel about everything. And so would you like to say anything, about, would you like to see more interviews?
Yeah.
And what would you say to the people that I've been asking that have been on the fence? And the third part, what about the women? Would you like to be able to hear from more of our great ladies in our XRP Army?
Absolutely. Love to hear from the ladies. It's interesting that you should pose that question because I was going to do a YouTube channel doing exactly with the intent that you have, wanting to not just do another YouTube giving the crypto news, the latest crypto news, but actually interviewing the people who provide the news and the information. Exactly what you're doing is what I was going to do, but didn't have the time to do it. So if you ever want to bring me on in some of these shows and we do a dual interview, let's do it, because this was a passion of mine, but I have not been able to see it realized. I mean, you're doing a good job. You got a pretty good setup here. I think your intent is great. Your goals for this channel are good, and it is needed because we've got enough YouTubes that get on there and, like CKJ, he's always doing a live show. He gets a lot of interaction going on, which is nice to have that sort of interaction. But yeah, to get a perspective from someone who's been in the space for some time, has devoted their life to provide this information they do, every day. It's great to be able to pick their brain a little bit and get to know the person behind the personality, And so, yeah, I think it's great. Anything I can do to help promote your channel and see you continue to do what you're doing, 100%. I mean, there's plenty of room. It's a big world.
Mainly to speaking to the people that the throngs of people that I've contacted to say, hey, let's do an interview. If anybody was kind of sitting on the fence,
Okay.
what would you say to those people?
Okay. I know where you're going. Look, guys, come on. You're not too big and too high and mighty to come on and have a chat with a gentleman like Scott, who's just up and coming and providing content to the community. Look, do the community a favor and put yourself in a position to where people can get to know you, really know you, and what you're about, and it would be a great insight because we're on Twitter. We've got people with handles and I'd love to know who these people really are. I mean, I think I tuned in when you talked to XRP Rose on a thing, and it was good to hear the real voice behind the Twitter name. Sir Gordon, I think I tuned in and watched a little bit of that and hearing the conversation. It's just good to know who you are. And I think if you wanted to build a respect level in the community, then it would be advisable to, let yourself be the interviewed, not the interviewer, and come on a show like this. And I think Scott does a great job. He's got a great heart, great personality.
And then on the flip side of that, also the people who may feel like not just the people that are the big cheese.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure you see. Can you got to make sure you can see that? Can you see the cheese?
Yes, barely. Oh yeah, I see it.
What?
It's sort of fading in and out. Yeah.
It's moon cheese.
Yeah, I see that.
Sorry, it doesn't look all that great with the technology, but we know that we've got our major influencers, and I love those people. I watch their videos every day. But also on the flip side, I feel like that we've got a group of people who feel like that they're too small, the small fish, and just they're insignificant, and nobody really cares what
Yeah,
they have to say. And
that's
so
right.
what would you say to them to encourage them to step
Well,
up and share their story?
that's right. Well, I mean, look at me. I mean, I'm here now. I mean, you asked me to come on. I've done a few talk shows and through the years, and I'm quite comfortable with it. Maybe not everyone would be as comfortable as I would, but I would say, look, just come on, be yourself. Don't be afraid. Don't let fear. Don't let fear stop you. Um, and you know, don't just give it a go. And if Scott's asking you to come on and be a part, then have fun with it. I'll look forward to chatting with you because I know that crypto is a passion of mine, and I love to talk about it. So to find someone like yourself that we could have a conversation about it. I mean, hey, so anybody out there that Scott's asking you to come on and you don't feel like you're anybody, I don't. I'm nobody. I'm Papa Bear XRP. Uh, I've got about 3,000 followers. It's nothing compared to some people. They got thousands.
Yeah.
And I'm privileged to have people follow me, but I mean, really, it's not about who's following you. I'm just following the space, and people follow you as you follow. I'm following
Well,
somebody. They'll follow you.
and
Yeah,
again, the other part of it also is that I just wish everyone could understand you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to get to know everybody. I
yeah,
mean, when this thing moons and we start, having meetups in different places, we have the potential here to build some solid relationships. And we are all going to we are all the average of the 5 people that we hang around with the most. So
that's
make
it.
good friends out of the people in this community, and that will serve you well, I believe, for as long as those relationships last.
That's it. I mean, I agree with you. I think there's there's people we've gotten to know on Twitter Space, and they're great people. And I mean, what a privilege it would be that we're all in a position that this thing is gone where we all hope it will go, and we can have some sort of gathering and meet everyone in person. I mean, some of us live in different countries, and who knows how long this COVID thing will go on. I mean, in Australia, you can't come in and go. You can't come in and go internationally. The flights are still shut down. I mean,
Right.
unless you've got a real emergency. So who knows when that will happen? But yeah, absolutely, great concept, great heart, and I hope it happens one day. Hope it happens one day soon. I hope next year we're meeting. Meeting somewhere and say, "Oh, remember when we did that?" And when.
Well, I've been to Australia one time for 10 days. That was the friendliest people. And I live in the South.
Yeah,
We're known for being folksy and friendly. And everybody knows, how the digital investor is from listening to him talk about himself. We Southern people are really friendly. But the people that I met when I spent 10 days in Australia about 15 years ago, it was close to the time when Princess Diana uh, died in her car wreck. So it's
yeah,
been a while, but the friendliest people that I think I can ever remember being around. And what a beautiful country, and the animal sanctuaries were just remarkable. So I'm a big
yeah,
fan of Australia. I don't fly well. I
yeah,
I, I don't. I don't like being in a confined space like a plane
yeah,
at all, and a 13-hour flight
yeah,
rough, because
yeah,
I mentally I just don't do well when I'm confined. If I ever get to a point medically where I need an MRI, they're going to
yeah,
probably have to put me asleep.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just don't like being confined. I was born 2 months premature. I was in that womb, Barry, feeling that confined space, and I had to get on out here and get on with it. So
I
anyway,
understand. I've had the same. I used to be able to fly all the time and not bother me, but getting a little older, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
don't like
Yeah,
that confinement. Don't like
yeah,
it. So again, in closing, I pre-invite everybody that I'm getting to know in this process. At some point, I'll be tapping you on the shoulder, and we'll speak again.
yeah.
And Then I had one other thing. When I cut this off, I wanted to talk with you briefly for just a second. And but besides that, what a treat! I didn't really know just what a terrific conversation this would be because I'd never met you. But
I didn't know either.
And I feel like
you know what's going to come out. You just
it was wonderful because now we've got another person that has been drinking the crypto XRP Kool-Aid from the same cup. So that's good. I don't feel as alone now in my passion and my belief for everything XRP. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, enjoyed the conversation and look forward in the future to reconnect and keep the dream alive.
All right, sounds great.
Yeah.
And thank you again, Barry, and everyone. Take care. I hope you enjoyed finding out more about Barry. And in the future, he and I will resume this conversation and talk about some other things, XRP, crypto, and world events. All right.
There you go. Sounds great.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. And thank you again, Barry.
Thank you.